Welcome to Iceland, a small island nation straddling the mid-Atlantic ridge, halfway between the United States and Europe. Behind me in the mirror there is the ferry that has brought me from the Faroe Islands. The same ferry does a regular service between here and Denmark, stopping at the Faroe Islands every couple of days. It's a 45-hour crossing from here to Denmark, of which there's I think it's a 3 or maybe 4 hour stopover in the Faroe Islands. As you can see, it is late evening, I think it is. Yeah, late evening. The sun is starting to go down. And this is my ride. A Volvo FH. FH16. 750 horsepower with a lovely paint job. With a bit of a pirate theme going on. Yes, walk the plank. And of course, yar. She rides on Michelin rubber. 385s 55s on the front, 315 70s on the back. It's a tag axle. So here we are in Iceland. Now Iceland's existence owes itself to volcanic activity on the mid-Atlantic ridge. A few million years ago it kind of rose out of the sea with the first eruption. And then gradually over subsequent eruptions, as the mid-Atlantic ridge slowly pushes a tectonic plate apart, the island got bigger. A few hundred years ago, in the Middle Ages, it was discovered by the Vikings. Who chose to settle here. Because of its strategic location, the Iceland has played a very important role in the Second World War and the Cold War. During the Second World War, when Europe was under control of Adolf Hitler, Nazi Germany, the UK stood alone against this threat, along with the United States. And one of the big problems for shipping to resupply the United Kingdom with war materials were U-boats. And the aircraft at the time that we had to patrol the convoy routes only had a limited range. And that was until the Catalinas and Liberators started to fly from Iceland. It filled the hole. There were several large air bases across Iceland which were used for very long-range Liberator flights and Catalina flights. And during the Cold War, after the Second World War had ended, again the nation proved itself to be very strategically valuable, with Russian submarines leaving Murmansk to head out into the North Atlantic armed with nuclear missiles. Because just after World War II, relations between the United States and the then Soviet Union got particularly sour. And as a result, the United States formed NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. And that stands still very much to this day. And submarines leaving Murmansk, going out to carry out their patrols, monitoring American activities, had to go out over the top of Norway, then down. This led to a couple of routes you could either take, going between Iceland and Greenland, or between Iceland and Norway, the so-called GI-UK gap, Greenland, Iceland, United Kingdom. Yes, I'm playing a multiplayer. And also as well, you have the Soviet bomber threat. Now, bombers from Russia could, going to attack the United States, again had three options. Option number one is to fly west across the Atlantic to attack the East Coast cities, New York, Charleston, Washington DC, obvious target, Miami, Florida, and the likes. They could fly east from the likes of Vladivostok to attack places like Vancouver, Canada, Seattle, Washington, California, San Diego. Or they could go up and over the top and come down across the Canadian Arctic, all of which needed to be monitored. So Iceland, along with Greenland, became an ideal staging post for interceptor aircraft and even the very America's own bomber aircraft and patrol aircraft, as well as radar stations to keep an eye on the Soviet bombers. Now recently, there was a thawing of relations between the United States and Russia, particularly during the Gorbachev era. Although since then the relationship with the rise of Vladimir Putin has cooled off a bit. It's not quite so cordial. So if things cool down even further, Iceland could play a very important role again in monitoring activity in the North Atlantic. It's an ideal spot. So we're actually travelling on the north of the island, which of the two halves is actually the colder of the two halves of the country. You've got the Gulf Stream keeping the southern half of the country relatively mild, but obviously with the influence of the Arctic Circle, which is only a few hundred kilometers to the north. The northern side of the island is very different to the southern side of the island. And of course, around the country, you've got Highway 1, which is what we're on now. As our 750 horsepower Volvo struggles to get up this bank. So a little trick is for me now to raise my rear axle, which will give me a little bit extra bite into the ground. I'll stick my truck into manual override transmission to hold the gear. So a little bit about the geography of Iceland, what I know about the country. Obviously it sits over the mid-Atlantic ridge. You know, it rose out of the ocean. And you've got down the middle of the island and along the edges several volcanoes, some of which are very much active, including one that erupted just a couple of years ago, which I ain't going to bother to pronounce. But there's also Katla, its sister. When the one that erupted a couple of years ago goes off, puts Katla onto onto the watch list. The two tend to go off together, or within a very short time of each other. But there's also other volcanoes as well, some of which are under glaciers. Subglacial eruptions can be quite spectacular. The heat from the magma as it erupts into lava and the ash flashes the frozen tundra over the top of it into water, which creates lahars and flows down the river course. Itself creating a volcanic hazard. There's also a lot of geothermal activity which Iceland is using to its advantage. A large quantity of, as far as I'm aware, I might be wrong, but as far as I'm aware, a large quantity of the electricity produced in Iceland is produced not by burning fossil fuels like diesel fuel, but by using the heat of the earth, geothermal energy. Water is pumped down pipes into hot rocks, where it is flashed into steam by the heat of these rocks, and then that comes up a pipe through a turbine and is then recondensed back into water and pumped back down again. Very much like in the cycle of a nuclear power or coal powered traditional power station. But instead of using heat from burning fossil fuel, You're just using hard rock. There's also as well various places in Iceland, one of which I think is called the Blue Lagoon. I think it's near Reykjavik. There's a large, fairly large lake used by the locals to bathe in, and it is actually kept relatively warm because of the geothermal energy being released just a couple of kilometers underneath us. So even when it is -4, -5 degrees air temperature, which would get a lake in Western Europe or North America or anywhere else for that matter to freeze over. The geothermal energy is keeping that pool, that lagoon, warm and actually quite pleasant year round. Needless to say, it's become quite a popular attraction. Other side things also exist of the geothermal power and energy that is in this country. And those are geysers and steam springs, many of which are actually sulphurous and actually sometimes see the sulphurous stains on the snow and ice. Something which we will see replicated here on ProMods shortly. We see here the development team of map modders on ProMods have tried to bring about a flavour of the geothermal energy in Iceland. As you can see here, we have hot springs, and you can see the orange in the snow there. If you're actually walking out in reality, you might see something like this. That is caused by the sulphur in the steam simply staining. It's staining the snow. It actually looks quite pretty, actually, to tell the truth. yes, because we are so high up, even at 2214, it's still relatively light. Although in winter, I can imagine the colours will be quite dark up here. So the main industries in Iceland: tourism and fishing, as well as supporting the various American air bases that may or may not still be in existence in Iceland. The location of Iceland is very good for fishing. There's a large fishing grounds just off the coast. And during the 1970s, this came to a head with the United Kingdom in what was known as the Cod Wars. It was a great Cod War. And this actually took, became pretty serious. It actually took the Royal Navy to get involved to protect British fishing boats from Icelandic, the Icelandic Coast Guard. They were not happy. They were claiming that British boats were coming up here and stealing their fish. Actually got very serious. Well, from what I've heard now, it's actually it's quieted down. That's something neat off Pro Mods. A little warning. Driver caution, snow ahead. something on TMP which people don't seem to do. Oh, the speed limit's 80 kilometers per hour. Woof! Crash. Ah dear. So our crossing to here would have been on the Nerona. There's a video by a guy called MS Marine Diesel who has sailed on the real version of this boat between the town of Herschel's and Iceland. Return leg is long enough, if you're going all the way to Denmark, to get in your weekly rest as a European truck driver, which is 45 hours. It's long enough as well to get your daily rest between here and Tórshavn in the Faroe Islands. one of my tactics here is deal with these conditions. Is to put my truck in manual mode. As you'll notice on the dashboard, the A has disappeared. That's auto, that's manual. And I've lifted up my rear axle, although the indicator light in this truck currently is not working. And then keep my speed relatively low. I'm only doing 24 kilometers per hour here, just enough to keep the momentum of the truck sustained. But not too much, as I want to wash out in corners. Especially when the roads are this curvy. The trailer behind me weighs what? The cargo of 20 weighs about what? 24 tons. The trailer weighs about 5 tons. You know, with the container on the back as well. The container itself is 3.5 tons. There's a lot of energy there and a lot of inertia that wants to carry on in a straight line. Now, I'm giving it 24 kilometers per hour worth of energy, and it wants to continue going in a straight line at 24-25 kilometers per hour. I've got coax that around the corner, and if you try to be violent with the steering, try to hammer it round, the first thing that's going to happen is that the back of your truck is going to try to overtake the front of your truck, jackknifing you and potentially causing you to either end up on your side, at worst, or blocking the road, making it very difficult for you to get yourself straightened out. So when you're driving on this kind of conditions, leave your cruise control off. Keep your speed down. Let the engine lug a bit, it's got plenty of torque. I mean, this one's got 3,500 Newton meters. Now I can lower the rear axle. There we are. To help spread the weight a little bit more now over the tarmac. Don't try to brake in a corner as well. That's the easiest way to upset the balance of the truck. Slow down before the corner. Don't use too harsh of an exhaust brake, because you need some braking on your trailer. You don't need too much. Now up ahead there is one of the many volcanoes. As you can see, there's like lines of them, 1, 2 there. Three there. 4. Possibly 5 there. I think that's 5 volcanoes. And each one of those, going back to a topic I was mentioning a while ago at the start of this video, was caused when that part of the island was over the top of the ridge. And it erupts, forms a cone, and gradually that, you know, that part of the island moves off the hotspot. And then another cone will form, build itself up, and gradually that too moves off the hotspot. And you repeat the process time and time again. And every so often, you know, when the Mid-Atlantic Ridge opens up, it's not all the volcanoes that are still active are on the ridge. The one that erupted a couple of years ago was off to the side of the island. It wasn't in the middle. As you can see in front of us as well, yet more cones. Potentially these are active. Just like those. So will there be another eruption on Iceland within my lifetime? Very likely. Will it bring the same devastation that the last one brought to European air traffic? Very likely. Mercury. We're about halfway across Iceland by now at this stage. See, it's now midnight and it's not actually that dark. Yes, there's more volcanic peaks over there. We'll stop here so I can see the lights in front of me if they change. So if we move up, they're going to be obscured by me mirrors. There we go. Got the green. natural resources on Iceland, such as timber. I don't actually think there's a great deal. I think a lot of it has to be imported. Well, you'll probably notice a lot of the buildings in Iceland are made of wood. This makes them relatively quick to build. Timber is a very good building material for the Arctic. A lot of Norwegian buildings also use timber. Same in Finland and Sweden and certain parts of Canada. Very good insulating materials for what I can gather. And it's renewable. Drivers obviously over here in Iceland will get used to the fact that their road signs have a yellow background, whilst ones in my country, which is England, and also signs in France and Germany have a white background. This obviously makes the road signs easier to read when they are against a white backdrop. Spotting a white sign on white snow, which can also be quite reflective. Can be quite difficult. Yeah, we're approaching another tunnel. driving on snow and ice as well, try to keep your truck moving. Especially on the hills. If you spin out on the hill, it's very hard to get your truck rolling again. In reality, you've got snow chains, which you can throw on. In the game, we haven't got that option. As you notice, there's just as many volcanoes on the eastern half as there are here on the western half of the island. Just goes to show that Iceland is a very dynamic country when it comes to its geology. See the water up here is actually frozen. Well, it's meant to be frozen. I think that's what they're trying to replicate there. It certainly looks frozen. I wouldn't like to jump in it. Actually use my diff locks here, but that would reduce my ability to turn. So although it would give you traction, it would actually take away control. In conditions like this, you want as much control as you've got. national speed limit area of Iceland, which is 80 kilometers per hour up here. And you can see it's a very young, very dramatic landscape. You can't escape the fact that this country owes its existence to those very volcanoes there. Refueling on the next opportunity. Probably haven't got enough fuel to get to where I need to be. Just tiptoe my truck down the other side of the mountain. those mountains there, those volcanoes there, if you notice compared to some of the others, they're a lot smoother. It gives an idea that they're meant to be representing older volcanoes, which have had time over the millennia that Iceland has existed to slowly erode to some degree. I mean, yeah, they might be under snow, but they've had time to obviously rise and erode. They'll be there for quite a while. Aha, fuel. Is that a fuel station? I believe it is. There will also be a short pause for me to make a drink. How ironic. Just as I'm coming to a fuel station, you're running out of fuel. I know. There's no need to tell me that. Trailer there. So I can get to the fueling point, but there doesn't look to be enough room there to actually get round and refuel. So I'll unhitch. Refuel. I don't think there's enough space to actually get around the building. No, there isn't sufficient room to get round. Yep, I'm secure. I'm in the jaws. Get the oppo to the invisible oppo to. Was it? I now want out. back in a moment, where we'll begin the rest of our journey to there. Which is there. Part 2. Tons. Didn't think I thought I was more than that. Never mind. See, I've still got my tag axle raised. Take a little bit more room here, so I'll just hang back, let it make the turn. Now I don't know of many famous people from Iceland. I know of a singer called Björk, but that's about it. So they haven't had much in the way of cultural exports that I'm aware of. For those of you who don't know, Björk was involved in the music industry. A relatively successful singer with some chart successes here in the United Kingdom. So, about my truck. At the start of the video I mentioned to you it was a Volvo F816. It's actually got two, I think, maybe three DLCs attached to this truck. There's a Michelin tyre DLC for the wheels. It has four DLCs actually, because there's also the wheel tuning kit as well. There's the Pirate Paint Jobs DLC, which gives this lovely scheme, which I think is called Swords and Skulls. And there's also the Volvo tuning kit, which has been recently released, which gives a very nice bull bar on the front, the vertical exhaust, the side skirts that I've got on this particular truck, and the rear lights. Now in the real Volvo, down by the side of me there's a hammer, because that hatch there, not only does it work as a sunroof, well, a skylight, it's actually open. If this truck were to ever roll over in real life, that there provides a useful escape route. Smash that, snap, and then climb your way out. One, it's not laminated, unlike the windscreen. You can smash the windscreen all day with a hammer and not break it. And there's no point trying to hammer on the side windows, because they'll be 2.5 meters above off the ground if the vehicle's on its side. You ain't climbing through that. So the easy thing to do would be to smash the sunroof. Welcome to Blondus. This rate is going to take quite a while to do it. It's not going to be a short trip. First thing you'll notice with this truck is in the cab there's no actual stereo, it's all USB now. There's no CD player. Because it's been taken up, in this case, with the TMP by CB radio, which is up there on channel 19. Is just there by on the dashboard by the sat nav. Now there's been many complaints about to SCS about the colour of the dashboard. It should be like a darker colour. Well, as far as I'm aware, the dashboard is available in a range of colours in the FH, and it just happened to be that the one they tested when you were making this FH model was that colour. You know what? I like it. I would like there to be various ranges of colours. That's just a small thing. Towards the far western side of the island, and it is obviously compared to the centre of the island, it's much flatter. That's down to the fact that over time the landscape has, the mountains are much of it has been eroded, and ProMods have obviously tried to replicate that. As best they can. And they've done a pretty good job. control device. Controls various functions for the truck. Allows you to do your light check. When you do your walk around checks on the real thing first thing in the morning. I also think, although some Volvo driver might be able to correct me on this at some stage, I think it might have something to do as well with the air suspension. Rather than like a wander lead which is down by the door, it uses that. God's kicking the steering back now, that means. I am doing 30 kilometers per hour and it is kicking the steering. That's better. Smooth ground now, smooth tarmac. On the steering wheel you've got functions for the mobile phone if you've got one. If you have a mobile phone, you can Bluetooth your mobile phone into the truck. That allows you then to make up hands-free phone calls. You may also notice as well on the dashboard where it says camera, navi, fleet, phone and audio. That allows you then to press phone, I presume, and obviously dial the number. And obviously the display would also change on the dashboard where the GPS is. There's two knobs either side of that. One says OK and the other says mute. When I presume this is how it works. I've not actually been in a Volvo F8. I've been a 7.5 ton driver for quite a while and I've only just got my Class 2 licence. Which I passed in a DAF LF. And you've got that side, I presume that is for your tuning of your stereo. Roll it round till you get to what you want and press the OK to select it. What's on the other side, you've got the mute button where you rotate the volume, I presume, and if you need to mute it for whatever reason you can just quickly tap the mute button. And then you've got the various other functions below, skip track. Backtrack, restart track, and what have you. If you're using an external media like a CD or, in this case, a USB stick. options. You've got air ride on the real thing, and also steel parabolic leaf springs, which would be the normal option, where the air ride is a slightly more expensive option. On our left-hand drive continental trucks also have independent wishbone suspension. Although this was a first by Volvo for heavy trucks. Mercedes came first with disc brakes, which everybody else has followed suit, this truck included. It's got all-round disc brakes on it with ABS. Moving further back from the front of the truck, you've got the engine, which in this particular model is a Euro 5, because SES haven't updated the engines yet for Euro 6 on this particular truck. Other vehicles like the Scania S Series, R Series Next Gen, the R Series Streamline, the Mercedes new Actros, the DEF 106, and the MAN TGX. And I think the Iveco Australis, although I don't usually drive that one, have all been updated to Euro 6. This truck still lags a little bit behind, although in reality the FH is a Euro 6 vehicle. Now, Euro emissions began back in the late 90s with the introduction of Euro 1. And then came obviously Euro 2, Euro 3, Euro 4, Euro 5, and now Euro 6. But the Euro emissions regulations are to do with diesel particulates primarily. If you look at an old truck when it's under heavy load, lots of black smoke can typically come from the exhaust, and that is unburned fuel. Visible soot, basically. And there's also as well other things as well, nitrogen dioxides and the likes, which you really don't want to be breathing in, and the Euro emissions have helped to bring about a reduction in that. Whilst with petrol engines in cars, it's all, the same emissions apply, but it's also to do with, in their case, a reduction of carbon dioxide. This truck has also got AdBlue, known in the United States as DEF, diesel exhaust fluid. What that does is there's a liquid that they spray into the catalyzer in the exhaust system, and it reacts with the gases in the exhaust stream to reduce oxides of nitrogen, NOx. this truck's got a 50-litre reservoir behind, just by the exhaust pack. Although it is available on the FH, in reality, with a slightly bigger reservoir, I think, and it sits where the right-hand lower locker is. But that frees up your chassis for additional fuel, which when you've got this 6x2 or a 6x4, such as the configuration that I've got, sometimes a little bit of additional fuel space is always handy to have. Not quite so important on a 4x2. Headlights to tail lights for a truck and trailer, not including a modular combinations. They're allowed to go up to 25.25 meters, or if you're in Finland, and I think Spain is also trialling what is known as a HCT, a high capacity transport, where that is a tractor unit like this with two 13.6 meter trailers behind. They're allowed up to 36 meters, I believe. And they're roughly similar to an Australian two-trailer road train or a American turnpike double. And obviously, because we have these length limits, we need to be profitable to have as much cargo space within that given length, which means the driver gets shoved into a little space. Which, if you're running two up, which is possible within the rules and regulations of the European hours of service, is that you have a very confined space in which to live. Now, SCS have actually modelled this truck slightly wrong. The bump there is a little bit too high off the bottom bunk. It should be a little bit lower. That mirror there is also a recent addition to European trucks. We've had to have those now for about 25 years. Well, what that is basically it allows the truck driver to see what's in front of him. Because it is quite easy to lose a car when you're sat high up if you get too close to it. And then we've got that mirror there for cyclist protection. But again, because you sit so high up, you have a big blind spot on that corner. And obviously if you're in a European truck, which is left-hand drive, you've got that mirror in front of me and the door mirror to the side of me. And it does the same job. As we come down now over the coastal fjord, we're now, as I say, down on sea level. Seven kilometers to go, and we go over another coastal fjord. Well, that's a bit of a lake. That's probably a saltwater lake caused by water washing over the dam there. In bad weather, it fills up. Back to the truck. Now this uses ice shift. It's Volvo's automatic transmission, which is also available now. Slightly more expensive version is the ice shift dual clutch. Anybody who's ever driven a manual transmission will obviously know that when you are changing gear, going from first to second, or second to third, or third to fourth, or what have you, when your clutch is pressed, you're losing momentum. On a regular AMT gearbox is little more than a manual gearbox with automatic control. Dual clutch technology was developed in, I think, the realms of Formula One racing, where to get a competitive edge and when you're accelerating away from a corner, if you can keep up momentum without losing it during gear changes, you're at a significant advantage. Strangely enough and paradoxically enough, this translates well to trucking. So if you're climbing a steep hill with a heavy load and you need to change gear because you get into the top of the truck's power band and torque band, such as now. As you start changing, you're losing gear. So what the iShift dual clutch does is it pre-engages the next gear. So when you change gear, it moves out of one, but very, very quickly engages the next gear before the truck has time to lose momentum. When you're driving conditions like this, it's extremely advantageous. This truck's 12-speed gearbox is a 16-litre diesel engine with 3,500 meters, I think it is, of torque. This means that there's that much torque there. You will probably have a hard time with a manual gearbox. Your leg would probably tire pretty quickly. Moving further back from the gearbox is the rear bogie, which in this case is fully air sprung with a lifting rear axle. Now why a tag axle over a mid-lift? When there's conditions like this is ideal. It's simple mechanics. Simple leverage mechanics. If you've got a mid-lift and you raise your axle, the weight is then distributed again between four wheels, your two axles, but is more evenly spread between the two. Which, when you are in harsh conditions, takes away available weight off your drive axle. What the tag axle does, still does the same thing by transferring weight onto the drive and to some degree onto the steering, but it transmits more weight onto the drive axle at the sacrifice of weight on the steer axle. To some degree it does take weight off your steer axle because of where the fifth wheel is positioned, slightly behind the drive axle, the middle axle, number 2 axle. So of course, as that weight is transferred back, it puts more weight and thus more traction. The other advantage of a tag axle over a mid-lift is manoeuvrability. It makes the truck easier to handle in confined spaces because it shortens the truck's wheelbase. Shortens it in this particular truck to something like about, takes a metre off the wheelbase. Isafjordio. Not too far to go now. That's where I've got to go. That's my drop point. See over there, a fishing boat. Yes, fishing is the national industry of Iceland. That, it's that. This load has actually come up from Scotland. Anyway, thank you for travelling with me, and hope to travel again sometime in the future. Hopefully not too far.